Let's bring in analysis now. We cross to our SABC News reporter, Abra Barbier, who is in Parliament for us. Abra, of course, a number of developments happening this morning where the Speaker, first of all, appearing in court and handing herself over to authorities. This is, of course, on the back of her resignation as the National Assembly Speaker, and today being granted a bail of 50,000 rands. I would imagine the reaction is coming in fast and thick.
Unati, yes, I'm just going to jump straight into the analysis with Lawson Naidoo, who of course is the Executive Director of the Council for the Advancement of the Constitution. Lawson always avails himself to speak to us about anything dealing with Parliament and constitutional processes. He's the expert on this. Lawson, thank you so much for speaking to us again. 2 weeks ago, the issue was that special leave, no such thing exists. This is unprecedented. Today we are again hearing the Speaker of the National Assembly of South Africa, who effectively leads Parliament, has resigned.
Well, it's a big day. It's a big decision because, as you rightly say, this is one of the highest ranking officers in the state that has resigned, and one would say that has been forced to resign because of the charges that have now been preferred against her this morning in court. So these are very serious charges of corruption, bribery, money laundering. I understand that there are 13 counts. And extremely serious charges. So I think the Speaker really had no choice but to resign. One would argue that the resignation perhaps came too late, that it was really at the 11th hour, because with the arrest and the charges coming forth today, she would have been left with no choice but to resign anyway.
A lot has also been said about the integrity of Parliament. She initially said that she was doing this to protect the integrity of Parliament. Tell me about the gravitas of that, of the importance of maintaining the integrity of Parliament to the public.
Well, I think, if one is serious about maintaining the integrity of this institution, which is critical in our constitutional democracy, it is the home of the representatives of the people that we're going to elect again in a few weeks' time. And therefore, if that is really the primary concern, then surely the issue of the resignation should have arisen much earlier for Mapisa-Nqakula and not just last night or yesterday. That in order to protect this institution, which has been in the middle of this controversy for a few weeks now, this resignation should really have come much earlier, because the integrity of this institution is critically important for the strength of our democracy. And we've seen in recent years how Parliament has been embattled, has been accused of neglecting its primary constitutional responsibilities of holding the executive to account. And there have also been many, many cases of very poor legislation coming out of this institution that has been successfully challenged in the court. So, the institution really needs to, or the interests of the institution needs to be placed certainly above the personal interests of anybody, whether it be the Speaker or anyone else.
Before I go back to speaking about the public, you mentioned legislation, and something that I found ironic today, listening to the court case, and I don't know if you can answer to this. Her legal team were referring to the weaknesses in the correctional services system. And I mean, she is, as I said earlier on, the head of the legislature, the national legislature, the highest lawmaking body in the country, also a senior member of the ruling party of the country. We deal with laws here, we deal with amending laws here all the time. Correctional services has been on the table since I started at Parliament, How ironic is it that today she's bemoaning the poor correctional services laws?
Well, it is incredibly ironic because, if I'm not mistaken, she also served as Minister of Correctional Services at some point. She was in Cabinet for many years where these issues about the state of our prisons would have been discussed. And therefore, it's incredibly self-serving of her to now raise the issue about the state of our prisons when many, many thousands of prisoners are suffering through the circumstances that exist there. And this is something that, as a nation, we need to be dealing with, the overcrowding in prisons and so on. But it's not something that's peculiar to a high-ranking political officer.
Lawson, okay, back to the public now, because that's my main concern. We have a very disillusioned electorate out there already. Do you think that this might impact in any way on how they are going to vote, or if the voter apathy will just get worse?
Well, I think hopefully it won't get worse. Hopefully this will be seen, albeit that it's not an ideal example, but it will be seen as an expression of accountability of some sort, that somebody has been forced to leave a very high public office because the law enforcement agencies are actually doing their jobs. They're investigating, they're bringing charges, people are going to court to face those charges. So hopefully this is a vindication of the rule of law. It's a vindication of the albeit slow progress of the investigating agencies and the NPA, but hopefully this is a signal that much more is to come and that other senior officials or politicians have been caught up in corruption, in state capture, will also find their day in court.
Lawson Naidoo, thank you so much for speaking with us. That was Lawson Naidoo, Executive Director of CASAC. I spoke with Parliament earlier on with the spokesperson, and what I was told is that parliamentary processes will continue as normal. We do have an acting speaker in position at the moment, that is Deputy Speaker Janodi. So parliamentary processes will continue as per normal. Parliament is assuring the public of that, but we of course will be updating you and following this whole story very, very closely. Unathi?